It's an honor and privilege this morning to have my former classmate and teammate be back here at Shrine. Mr. Trainor is a 1985 graduate of Shrine, where he's an all-state football player when I was at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, on a full athletic scholarship. Mr. Trainor's athletic accomplishments include captain of the East team for the Michigan High School Football Coaches Association All-Star Game, 4-year Leonard winner for Miami University football team, the John Baums Award, winner presented to freshman football player on the basis of leadership, sportsmanship, and football ability, honorable mention all-academic football team in 1988. From an educational standpoint, Mr. Trainor has an MBA in Finance from the University of Detroit Mercy, a BS in Finance from Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, and he's also a certified managerial accountant. He's presently a senior manager for Mercedes-Benz Financial Services for the Americas, where he and his group have the responsibility to ensure profitable growth, appropriate returns for new business and achievements, financial targets and metrics and measures. The staff is also responsible for coordinating results, forecasts, and strategic plans for Mercedes-Benz Financial Services for the Americas and their $40 billion automotive portfolio. Please help me welcome Mr. Chris Trainor to the winner's circle.
Good morning, everybody. Can you guys hear me? Am I loud enough? Yeah. All right, I'm a football coach too, so I can talk loud. So I really appreciate the opportunity to come and speak to you guys today. It doesn't seem like it was too long ago that I was here myself. I guess the gray hair shows it's been more than a few years, but definitely some lasting impressions I think that I got that helped me on my journey. And today I'm going to focus a little bit on some things that I guess helped me out, things I learned, and maybe some things you can focus on to help you hopefully take a couple of nuggets to make it work. As I said, I work for Mercedes-Benz Financial Services. Obviously, we sell cars. In my group, I'm a finance guy, and we make loans to people to buy cars, and the dealers and companies to buy trucks and cars as well, because we own Trainor here in the United States. So, a great company. I love working for them. Maybe a couple of years we can give you guys some loans to buy some cars. So, I'm going to try and sell a few cars here during the pitch as well. And maybe here what we can focus on is get a little high energy going, a little early in the morning. I know we're in the heart of Detroit, and German automaker, luxury, not quite part of the big three in Detroit there, but I worked for Chrysler for 10 years. And then, Chrysler and Mercedes were once one company. When the split happened, I ended up staying on the Mercedes side. But my heart is in cars and it's in automotive. And we have some interesting things as part of Mercedes that I thought kind of fit, if I'm thinking about what I wanted to talk about today. And one of our taglines that we have for our company is really ingrained in our culture is the best or nothing. And I think it fits in a lot of different ways. I think we can all kind of take that to heart in everything we do. And I think of some things, and I think what we really focus on as students, and even as we continue, is really we need to learn from the past. I think we do that great in school. We look at people, what was successful, what were some problems we had, and I think we can learn from that. So hopefully we don't have to make the same mistakes, or we can follow maybe a blueprint of a champion and be successful. But we also, I think, while we're doing that, prepare for the worst. I think we take vitamins, we work out, we do everything we can to try and make sure when there's going to be problems that we can hit those problems and hopefully, really overcome them. But I think in combination of those two things, we want to shoot for the stars. I think everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to hit a home run. Everybody wants to score a touchdown. Everybody wants to get an A. So I think it's a combination of all three of these things that really make a defining point in your life. And our motto of our company, who's been around 125 years, has been the best or nothing. Mercedes was the pioneer. They created the first automobile 125 years ago. We celebrated that last year. It's pretty amazing. And this is a little commercial that we got. It's just kind of like maybe set the tone for some things that we're going to do. A little bit of my speech, then I'll get into a couple of other ideas here.
Every great story has a beginning. This one starts with a dream. The dream of building the world's first automobile and of reinventing it time and again. Of sparking the world's passion for motorsports and creating shapes that people will never forget. Of taking responsibility with innovations that have saved lives. And being a pioneer of excellence in mobility, now and forevermore.
Mr. Dano, you're working too much.
I just want the best. The best or nothing.
I think it kind of says it all. I think when we're working on things, we're doing things. I mean, I think everybody, I think what they really want to do is they want the best. And why not give you your best? It's something that we really take hold of here in everything we do at our company. You know, from somebody who's engineering cars, to somebody who's manufacturing them, to the finance person who's helping put the budgets together, to the customer service agent, you know, listening to phone calls. We want to deliver that every day. It's ingrained in our culture. I think it's something we can also take a hold of, because I think everything we do, let's be your best. Be your best student. Be the best friend. Be the best athlete. I mean, I think we need to hold each other accountable, and I think it's something that at the end of the day, I think you really want to say, did I give it my all? You know, I think, and that makes a difference. And part of what we do, actually probably the most important thing is the values is really the foundation of our success. How you do it is just as important as what gets done. When we go through and we have evaluations of performance in our company, the behaviors and how you do it is just as important as what you get done. If you're going to run over people and you're going to do things that aren't ethical or moral, it's not acceptable, because you know what? We have a place in society that we need to be fiscally, financially, socially responsible. That's an important aspect of what we do as a company, and I think it's something we can also live and breathe as a Christian human being. I mean, I think, you know, giving money to the church, giving money to the poor. Socially responsible, you know, are we being green? Are we donating our time? I think those are all things that we can rally around and are important. Being a customer focus. In business, obviously you understand your customers, but I would challenge you. I think you also are also customers. Your teachers are your customers, your parents, your siblings, your friends. You need to be focused on them and provide the best service possible. Inspired and empowered. I mean, I think that is really a key that will really get you guys very, very far in your life. You need to be passionate and enthusiastic. You need to act as an entrepreneur and take personal responsibility. You need to have out-of-box thinking. You got to be creative. Commitment to excellence. You know, I'm a football player. I mean, Vince Lombardi, right? The Oakland Raiders. I think we're showing our age a little bit, but I mean, it really says it all. You got to be committed, and excellence is what we need to strive for. You constantly got to improve. You constantly need to learn. You got to create innovation. So I think part of that is, you know, knowing. I think the knowledge is the subject area today that from a Winner's Circle presentation, and I think that really hits it home. And then kind of, you know, in the middle, integrity, openness, and respect. You know, react in a constructive way when others make mistakes. You got to get involved in the decision-making process. And for us, this is the core of what we do as a company, and I think it's something that, you know, we all really take to heart. And I think they all kind of go together, you know, from a puzzle standpoint. They're all important pieces, and we need to have them all in order to be successful. And really, I mean, I think it's common sense. I don't think anything I just talked about is something probably you've never heard before. So I would say I think it's really within us. It's in our DNA. You know, we need to have very strong ethics and strong morals. So, I mean, I think it's something probably here at Shrine Catholic High School, you guys are being taught every day. It's being reinforced in the classroom, on the practice field, at home. So I think it's just something we need to continue to focus on, and you guys need to make sure your classmates are withholding that. Hold each other accountable. When you see something that's not going right, speak up. Sometimes it's hard to do that, but you know what? I think your classmates, your teachers, your family, everybody deserves it. So I think that's something that you guys have a responsibility. Obviously, you're taking leadership classes here, so I think that's great. You're taking a step ahead. But just don't be afraid to speak up, and when you see something that's wrong, is say, hey, you know what, I'm not okay with that. So that's something I'd also want, you know, maybe a little word of wisdom. And I guess, you know, partly being an athlete in college and an executive at a company, I've done a lot of recruiting, and I managed a team of a leadership development team that focused on strategic initiatives for my company. And I got to go out and recruit top-notch MBAs from Michigan, from Pennsylvania, from Wharton, Michigan State. And a lot of people on paper look exactly the same. Everybody's got a great resume. They've had great job experiences. They went to great schools. They have great GPAs. What sets them apart is their attitudes. It's a fine line today of what's going to get you ahead. Everybody, you know, you're going for your summer job, you're going for leading a play, a lot of things. The skills are great, but on a playing field, the skills are all very similar. But there's going to be a few things that are going to get you ahead. And these are some things I think that have been important to me and I think are important to you. You know, and the first is, I've never done this before. I'm afraid, I don't know if I can do it. You know, we need to turn that into, I have an opportunity to be first. I can get something done. I can be innovative. You know, we really need to move from this thinking as I'm afraid of accepting this, to really taking it on, taking the bull by the horns and running with it. The second item, it's too complicated. It's too hard. You need to turn that into, maybe I'll look at it from a different angle. Maybe we can do it this way instead of this way. I mean, I think we need to be open. I think it's an important aspect. A favorite of mine, I have 3 kids, it's never going to work. Come on, you know, I can't do it. You know what? Let's give it a try. What is so hard about trying? You know what? People don't win every time. They don't get it on the first try, but the people that really get ahead in life keep getting up over and over and keep trying, and then they don't get knocked down. They get up. Not enough time. You know what? I think, you know what? There's a lot of time here, and I think you really need to look at your priorities and really reset them as what's the most important thing, and you hit that first. You know, you can't get everything done at the same time, but I think you'll end up knowing what's the most important thing and focus on that, and then a lot of things will work themselves out. It's a waste of time. I don't want to waste my time with that. You know what? Think of the possibilities. Get excited. Don't look at it from a negative standpoint. It's good enough. You know, that's kind of mediocrity. There's always room for improvement. I mean, I think in everything we do. Are you ever satisfied? If you really look back on it and we're critical, did you do the best that you could do? That's something only you can answer yourself in your heart. It'll never fly. You know, maybe we won't know until we try. It can't be done. It'll be a challenge. Take it on. Get excited. Let somebody else deal with it. You know, it's not my responsibility. Hey, you know, it's not my job. But you know what? It's ready to learn something new. I mean, take that responsibility on. It's not my job. I'm glad to take the responsibility. And finally, I can't till I can. This isn't rocket science, but I think it starts in your attitude. In everything you do, whether it's schoolwork, whether it's academics, it's sports, it's your social life, it's your church. These are the little things that get you ahead. And these will get you above that line when you're going for that job and it's down to the final 2 people. And you exhibit some of these traits and some of these attitudes, you'll get there. Believe me, I know it's happened to me personally. And another sense here is something called I would say we need to focus on in relationship to your attitudes is also we need to overcome our blind spots. And, let's not kid ourselves. We all have them. I guess the definition is unproductive behaviors that are invisible to us, but everybody else sees. And these blind spots create dire and unintended consequences. They can really corrupt decision-making. They reduce our awareness. They create enemies. They can destroy teams, careers, and friendships. And blind spots by themselves are not flaws, and nor are they malicious. They're just automatic behaviors that happen. And I think we need to realize that we have them and what do we need to overcome. And this is a list of 10 most common ones that are seen that really kind of can derail somebody's career, academic, athletic, work career. So these are things you should focus on and see how we can overcome them. And the first one is tolerating good enough. Sitting back and being content with the things they are. You know what? I think, guys, this is something that you really need to look at yourself and saying, are you going to be mediocre and average, or do you want to exceed? So obviously, you know that yourself. So that's one thing we really need to overcome is just that general malaise attitude. The second one, not taking a stand. Where you're not making decisions, they're not clear, and you're just kind of not doing anything. You're just kind of sitting around. I think you need to take action. You ever been on a team or a project, nobody knows what to do, everybody's just kind of sitting there? Well, somebody needs to take charge, and you got to get things moving. Withholding emotional commitment. Basically, withdrawing your passion and your enthusiasm is you're kind of checking out. You're kind of there physically, but you're not there emotionally. I think this is an important thing is if you're in, you're in. So I think as some of you guys, if you're involved in something, give it your all. Be in it emotionally. Commit. Have some passion. Conspiring against others. When you speak negatively about people, gossiping, it's really something that you think nobody knows about, but it spreads like wildfire. Somebody says one thing, next thing you know, everybody's talking about it. You know what? And people know when people get talked about behind the back. Let's be honest. So if you be the person that stops it, right? It stops with you. Don't be the innocent bystander. Get involved. Help that other person out. Stop the negativity, and maybe you can stop that chain. Be positive. Treating things casually. You know what? Hey, okay, I'll get to it. I think I'll go clean my room, Mom. Sure. Not fulfilling promises. You know what? I guess when you say something, it's your word and get it done. If you start breaking this down, all of a sudden there's going to be that lack of trust. So you know what? Don't put yourself in a situation. If you're going to say you're going to get it done, get it done. And just take it to heart. Don't make it be very casual and informal. Blaming others. Not my fault. Criticizing other people. Complaining about others. We just need to stop it and just deal with it. Avoiding difficult conversations. Withholding how you think and feel. You know what? If somebody asks you something, you know what? Let's get it out on the line. Sometimes it's hard, but once you have that difficult conversation with your parents, your friends, you can get out with it. And if you don't, that problem can fester and just continue to grow. So I would just advise you to, when it's on your mind, just get it out in the open and be direct and communicate. Communication is important. Being insensitive to others. Either, expecting everybody to think the way you do. You know what? Everybody's different. You need to respect others' opinions. Teams are best when they're diverse in, gender, nationality, diverse in thought. When you have a diverse team, it shows time and time again. You get the best output and success on diverse teams. So I would say, be respectful, get everybody's opinion. The I know attitude. Now listening to others, and you're a know-it-all. Well, you know what? It's nothing more than turning people off when you act like that. So be careful of that idea. And going it alone, rejecting others' support, not asking for help when you need it. A lot of people are afraid to ask for help. And you know what? And it's something. No matter what age you are, what stage in your career, you can always use help. You don't know everything. There's a lot of other people that will know something. So I think these are the top 10 things that have shown that can really make a problem in your life. And a lot of people, we have to work on these a lot, but knowing they're there and then knowing how you can overcome them can also make you a more successful person. Nobody said life was easy, and it's not. I'm a football player. I know Grant was a football player. I'm still involved in sports. And these are some of my favorite quotes from Vince Lombardi, famous football coach. And one of my three favorite ones, it's really, the difference between a successful person and others is not a lack of strength, not a lack of knowledge, but a lack of will. You guys need to have a will. You really have to have a strong internal fortitude to be successful. And it's not whether you get knocked down, it's whether you get back up. I know this personally applied to me a bunch of times in my life. Some of them here in high school. Grant talked about, yes, I went on, I got to play football in college at Miami University. Well, when I was in high school, I was a good athlete. My coach thought I was a lot better than I knew I was, and he pushed me hard. And I struggled. I had a hard time really pushing myself to my limits and really trying to push myself to become a better athlete. And I struggled with that mightily. I was a terrible runner. I had a hard time running, finishing sprints on time. Grant probably had to do 5 or 10, 20 extra sprints for me because I was the last guy coming in the line. I wasn't meeting the time, so I had a hard time pushing myself. And I was failing, plain and simple. My football coach at the time, Mr. McDougall, was very hard on me. And I wanted probably more of the hug, and I got more of the kick from behind. And you know what? I probably needed it at the time. It took me a while to figure that out. It was very difficult to go through. But I think it kind of made me who I am today. It forced me to make a decision. I got to the point as I'm either going to go with it or I'm not. And luckily I did. And I ended up having a pretty successful career. And probably I had a harder time in high school dealing with things, but it really set me up for my later in life to make things easier. Because if I got through that part of my life, the rest of it's a cakewalk. So I learned how to push myself. And I told you I was a terrible runner. Well, in 2007 I finished a marathon in Detroit. Not fast, but I finished. And I just ran another 5K race 2 weeks ago. So the thing is, you can get better if you put your mind to it. But sometimes it's a challenge. And I think when you fail and when you have hard things in your life, you grow from it. So I think that's a really important thing. And probably my favorite is the quality of a person's life is in direct proportion to the commitment to excellence. I mean, if you're committed, it makes a big deal in life. So it's not easy, but it's really how you deal with the punches that are thrown, the pitfalls, the obstacles that really define who you are as a person. Next thing interesting, I was at a meeting a couple weeks ago, and there's a gentleman named Josh Winkner. I don't know if any of you have heard of him. He's a local guy here in Detroit. He's huge on innovation. He's the founder and chairman of ePrize, the largest interactive promotional agency in the world. He's also part of something in Detroit of helping to invigorate ingenuity, creativity with Magic Johnson, Dan Gilbert, helping to grow business in Detroit. And really what we need to focus on, and for you guys, is our future is innovation. And there's some things that we can really help do to do that. Number one, you got to awaken curiosity. Challenge conventional thought. Go through the 5 whys. You guys constantly got to do that. Why? Because we need to make technological advances into the future huge. Where are those answers going to come from? It's going to come from you guys. You guys are going to solve a lot of the problems we're dealing with today. Energy, global warming. A lot of things are going to be on your shoulders, generation to help solve. And that's not going to come from doing the same things we've been doing forever. Things got to change. It's going to start with you guys. You guys have an important aspect, an important thing to step up to. You need to encourage courage. Sometimes you need to fail big to succeed. From failing, you move forward. Who's the most successful, probably technological person? Well, he just passed. I would say Steve Jobs, Apple, right? How many of you guys have Apple? iPods, iPads, Macs, everything. He failed huge in his career 2 or 3 times. He started Apple, he was a co-founder. Well, he was kicked out of the company probably 5 years after it started. He went to work at Next Place. It was a computer ahead of its time. The company failed, it went bankrupt. He struggled mightily. I would say that really taught him a lot of things about business, I may not really agree with everything he did and how he ran his companies. I mean, there's some debate on how he treated people, but I got to give the man his due. He was innovative. He had a vision, and he fought for it, and he had a will to succeed. So I think there's many, many people out there who are really successful in their lives, but they had a lot of challenges, they had a lot of heartache early in their careers. They learned how to deal with it, and they became successful. The ones that don't know how to deal with it don't know about it. So I would say, just because you don't get it the first time, stay with it. Magical things can happen. Lastly, I think, you know what, you got to take responsible risks. And keep in mind, playing it safe can be the riskiest thing at all, is not doing something. That's important. Sometimes sitting back and say, hey, I don't want to get involved. Well, you know what? That could be the riskiest thing in the world. You got to make a challenge. You got to make a chance. You got to try. You got to challenge assumptions. Be purposeful in what you do. And lastly, how do you tell your story? What's your words? How do you look at things? And I got a little video here that's pretty interesting. Kind of look at it and focus on it. There's a small nuance, and it's really, really different on what happens. Amazing what a little change of words has a dramatic change on what happens. So that's kind of really what I have, I guess, the words of wisdom that I would have imparted on you. And I guess now there's some time for some questions. I'd be happy to answer anything. I know I covered a lot of stuff, and I can send RJ the presentation, you know, with some of the links and some of the videos and all that as reminders to have the materials, so that's not a problem. But what are some questions you guys have? I'd be happy to answer. Yes?
What kind of car do you drive?
What kind of car do I drive? I have a GL550.
Nice one.
It's a sport utility. So, I love it. Probably one of the perks of working for the car company. Anything else?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's interesting hearing all those different speakers that these students are hearing. There's two things that I'm noticing real common with the speakers. Some of them say, forget your weaknesses and just build on the strengths. And some of them, like yourself, and like I personally agree with this, about the blind spots. You know, identify your weaknesses, build upon your strengths, but know your weaknesses and try to turn your weaknesses into strengths is kind of what I'm getting to the blind spots.
Yep.
And the 10 common ones are good ones, but how do you, as a, what could you give to the students about, like, what's the first step to know what the blind spot is? I mean, here's the common ones, but what's honestly the first step to say, I don't know that that's my blind spot, how do I find it?
That's good. I mean, I think there's a couple things I think that number one, I think talking to your parents, are you constantly being reminded by your parents or your teachers about something? And maybe have an open, honest conversation with them saying, hey, if I want to improve, what are some things that you see for me that I can improve on? And I think there could be a common thread there. So I would say talking to your teachers, maybe your parents, your friends. I mean, I think there's some good things, maybe things you're having problems with. So I think that's that's one step I guess I would advise. Some of them you probably also know yourself. You know what, and after you focus on it a little bit, you'll see yourself maybe drifting towards that again, and I'll catch myself, and okay, I can't do that anymore. Because you know what, it's not, I'm just like you guys are. And I have a couple of tendencies. We may not have all 10, but we may have one or two that really hit home for us that we need to work on our whole lives. And it's a journey. So I think that's talking to people.
You knew speed was always one of your blind spots.
Yes.
It seems like you...
Endurance. Yes. Speed and endurance, yes.
It seems like you fixed it. What's another one with a blind spot? How do you fix it?
I think one of them is, not getting involved. Maybe sitting back saying, I don't want to get inside. I don't want to really challenge that. It's not my issue. There's a crowd of people. I don't want to step up. I don't want to be the person putting myself on the line. I don't want to be ridiculed from my friends or my colleagues. I don't want to say the wrong thing. You know what? It took a while to be able to have enough courage to at least say, stop. Or here's what I think we need to do. You got to take a leap of faith sometimes. You know what? And I think everybody's very sometimes afraid to do that. A lot of people are afraid to speak up. And I think that's one I know that I struggled with for a long time. And then until finally something clicked and I said, you know what? What's the worst that can happen? Either I'm wrong, okay, I get laughed at or ridiculed, but you know what? There's so much more that can be gained from that. That's probably one of my things that I struggled with for a long time when I was younger. You always want to fit in, you don't want to stand out. A lot of times when you're in high school, so you don't want to be, you're weird or you're different. So it's kind of like you want to stay back in the crowd and kind of hang around. And so I think that's one that, personally for me, that I wish I would have figured out a lot earlier in life, is just kind of do your own thing and just be happy with it and not try to have to fit in. Yes?
So you said you read a lot of resumes.
Yes.
How can we put something on there that shows our attitude or how you set it apart?
A lot of that comes through more in your, number one, I guess, your involvements. Is, when your extracurricular activities will show that you're involved. But a lot of it comes as a part of when you get 5 minutes in front of a recruiter is how you sell yourself, what you do. That makes a difference. A lot of people now, when you get into the university settings and they go through interviews, it's behavior-based. And they give you a set of questions, and they want you to talk and relay experiences revolving around, your teamwork, your communication skills, your problem solving. A lot of things that are just strong behaviors that you want to hire for. So I think it's when you come through as your answers and you can be crystal clear in how you communicate. But a lot of it has to do, based on the first 5 minutes you meet somebody, it's your resume, your cover letter explaining how good a person you are, how you go above and beyond, why you're, it's just, basically relaying yourself in actions and words, I think. But it's really, it's a verbal cue, I think, when you're meeting people. But there are some things you can do in written form that we could talk afterwards if you want to know. Yeah?
What kind of internships do you do to get into the finance?
Internships? When I was an undergrad, I interned 2 times at Chrysler. I was in manufacturing, in a plant, and in product quality. So I ended up, I played football with a gentleman whose dad was a vice president at the time at Chrysler, and I wrote him some resumes and said, hey, I'd love to, I really love your company. I'd really like to be part of that team. And I was kind of aggressive. And I just took, and that kind of worked out. So I kind of took the step of beating him and, kind of walking up to him. He was a big, powerful guy. His name's Dave Dowk, Dick Dowk. He owns American Axle now. But, just kind of something as a teenager walking up and meeting him, shaking his hand and saying, hey, you know what, I love your company. I'd love to have an opportunity to work out during the summer. If it doesn't happen, great, but I'd love to send you my resume and talk to you. You know what, and I made an appointment. I went down and I met with him in his office for 10 minutes maybe. We talked football or something, and it was just more about him getting to know me too. There's a lot of weird things In an interview, a lot of times you'll just have a conversation with somebody, and you're thinking, that's weird, it's just a conversation. But no, people are trying to find out who you are, what makes you tick, what's important to you. Because on paper, right, everybody